I feel like my outfit today is giving corporate Barbie. It's giving Elle Woods in the courtroom. It's giving 30-year-old Molly Burke. And 30-year-old Molly Burke is exactly what we are here to discuss today. What is it like dealing with aging as a blind woman who cannot see herself? Now, I recognize that this is a niche experience, but I'm sure there are plenty of blind folk around here that can relate to it. And I don't know, maybe share your perspective and opinion and feelings with me, so I feel a little less alone. Like, I feel like this channel is like me helping you feel less alone, but equally you helping me feel less alone when I read your comments. And also just for anybody who's aging and feeling some type of way about it, whether it's positive or negative, you guys know this is a safe space. It's about community. It's about learning and growing together. And sharing openly to support one another. So kind, constructive, positive comment section down below. Let's discuss, because I think we can all agree that particularly as women, aging's just a little bit different. It's just a little bit different, you know? There's a lot more pressure put on women to age gracefully, or frankly, to just not age at all. And then on top of that, I am somebody who in particular works in one of the most shallow industries there is. Let's call a spade a spade. I work in Los Angeles. I work in the entertainment business. I do commercial modeling work. I'm on the internet being seen by, potentially millions of people. I hear about the way I look. People be telling me. And it's weird knowing that other people can see me and I cannot see me. And working in an industry where youth in particular is king. I was talking about this with my boyfriend the other day, how in so many industries, the older you get is better because you're seen as being wise and having years under your belt of experience, and you get pay raises the older you are and the more you progress in your career. And a lot of young people try to look older when they enter the workforce. Young men try to grow beards to look older. Young women start wearing blazers and suits and slick back buns to look a little bit older and more mature. But in my industry, it is glorified to be 16 and going viral on TikTok. It is glorified to be 18 and getting opportunities. And the older you get and the further away you are from youth, the less opportunity there is, or at least that's how you're made to feel. I've made videos about self-esteem and self-confidence as a blind woman before. I've made at least 2 that I can think of off the top of my head, but I've been on here for a decade. And just like anybody's experience in a decade, my opinions, my experiences change. There is ebbs and flows to self-confidence and self-esteem as there is to mental health and to practically everything else in life. So I'm really making this video to sit down as I am now at 30 and how I am feeling as I know I am aging without seeing myself and how that is affecting me. I've always been one of those people who looked younger. At 15, I looked 12. At 18, I looked 15. At 25, I looked 22. And I'm at a point where I think my physical appearance is catching up with my numerical age. And that's weird because I don't really know what that means. I have never had detail vision, which means even when I was sighted, I was legally blind, right? I consider that version of me to be sighted, but for all intents and purposes, I was not, right? I've always been legally blind. And so I've never been able to see details like freckles or eyelashes or single eyebrow hairs or pores, but equally, I've never really seen wrinkles. Maybe I could tell an 80-year-old, right? I could see that level of wrinkle, but I've never been able to see fine lines or even what wrinkles look like at 50. I could only ever see the far end of wrinkles. I couldn't see that in between of youth to elderly. It all looked smooth to me. But I know that most people, there's a lot of nuance to aging. There's a lot of details that change. And I know that I have some smile lines, and that's okay because thank God it means I've smiled and laughed a lot in my life. And girl, I am certain that I will be, if I haven't already, developing some pretty solid crow's feet because I spent a childhood squinting to see the world and squinting because things were too bright and squinting and squinting and squinting. And so, I know that those things are inevitable and I'm okay with that. And I'm really lucky that I grew up in a super healthy age positive household. You know, my dad always talked about how he thought it was really beautiful seeing lines on people's faces. And my mom always talked about how beautiful she thought it was to age and add character to your face. And I'm so fortunate that I have a partner who has the same view. Like, that is the way my partner views it. He loves women with gray hair and he loves women with wrinkles. So I'm fortunate that my close circle of people who love me and who I am around on a regular basis are really age positive. But as I said, like, I live in the public eye. I recognize that people see things about me that I don't even know exist, and that can be hard. It can feel vulnerable, and at times make me feel like a little insecure because I know that people are noticing me aging in ways that I don't notice that I'm aging. It's a little bit odd. I know that, you know, when I am stripped down in the presence of my partner, he can see things on my body that I don't know exist, like freckles or moles that I don't know are on my bikini line. Or he can see stretch marks or cellulite that I don't know exist. And there are ways in which and times in which I'm super happy that I don't know those things are there because they don't enter my brain. They don't even enter my mind as things to be insecure about. But then equally, when other people will make maybe an offhanded comment or remark, they don't realize the way my brain is latching onto that thing. So for example, I've noticed that hearing on social media, like say scrolling on TikTok and hearing another woman discuss her insecurities, it's almost like giving me ideas of things to be insecure about because I'm hearing her discuss something about her face or her body that I didn't even know existed. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing to be insecure about because I didn't even know that was a thing on the human body that you could experience. And I know that's really hard for most people to comprehend or understand because for most people, you see human bodies every day and you've seen them always. And so you're like, yeah, of course that's a thing that can happen. But I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know. Like, I have my eyebrows microbladed and I have for a very long time. And I started hearing a bunch of people talk about how come nobody told us that when we got microblading, our eyebrows would eventually turn green. And I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Has nobody told me my eyebrows have turned green? I didn't even know that was a thing. And now I have to be concerned that my eyebrows are gonna go green? Like, this is crazy to me. And so in a way, while social media has for the most part overwhelmingly been positive for me, not even as a creator, like just as a viewer, well before I was ever a creator, growing up, YouTube was a safe space for me where I found like-minded people who made me feel like I had a sense of community and belonging. Now there are elements of social media that I do feel are like harming my self-esteem overall because I'm like, oh, that's a thing? And I start to wonder if I need to be worrying about that, but nobody's telling me. And then equally, sometimes I do get comments where people tell me their thoughts on how I look, and I'm like, ooh, like it's hard for me to separate other people's opinions from my own opinion of visual things because I can't see visual things. So sometimes I just have to trust sighted people because that's all I've got to go on. Like I read a comment that said I should get lip filler because my top lip is almost non-existent. And I also recently read a comment that said my eyebrows are too dark and the wrong tone for my face and hair. I am personally not interested in getting filler. You guys have heard me say that many times. I have no judgment for people who get it. I'm like a live and let live type of person as long as it's not harming other people. You choosing to get lip filler does not harm my existence, so therefore live and let live, girl, go off and do your thing. That's just not something that I want to do for myself for numerous reasons. And similarly, like my brows, they are microbladed. I can't change them. I don't fill them in. It's not like, oh, I just buy a different colored pencil. These are tattooed on. This is my brows now. And so when I hear things like that, even when it's like one person, it's hard to forget that that comment existed in a way. And I was talking to somebody on my team about this recently, and she was saying, I understand that when I hear negative comments about my skin or body from my modeling agency, I get to go home and look in the mirror and tell myself that they're wrong, that I don't see those things, that I don't believe those things about me, so their comments don't matter. But I understand that you don't get to do that. When people in the industry make comments to you about how you look, you don't get to go home and look in the mirror and validate yourself. and realize that they're saying things that are way blown out of proportion, or they're being so hyper fixated and nitpicky about this super small thing that nobody else is seeing the way sighted people can. Okay, my hair just popped out. Don't worry, we'll get to how my hair is playing a role in my self-esteem. And so, well, I have always been somebody who works to seek validation within, and that was a huge part of my self-growth and development work as a teenager. You know, growing up being bullied, I battled a lot with depression, a lot with anxiety, a lot with low self-esteem, and the way I combated that was through a lot of self-work, a lot of therapy, a lot of all the things, but it included seeking validation internally instead of externally, which is really hard to do. It included being like really authentic and true to myself, regardless of what other people thought, because that's what made me feel happy and therefore more confident, right? And all of those things are still true and still exist for me. However, when people make comments about who I am as a person, right? When they make judgments on my character, those comments don't faze me. You can say I'm obnoxious. You can say I'm loud. You can say I'm not funny. You can say I'm dramatic. You can say I make bad life choices. Some of those things are true, and I know them to be true about myself, and I accept them as who I am. Some of those I just straight up know aren't true, so I don't care that you think them, because I know, and I know that the people who love me in my real life know that those things aren't true about me. And the things that are, I know they love and accept about me. So these internal things about me, I fully love and accept, and I validate. And other people's opinions of those things do not impact me. Visual things, that is harder for me to separate. That is harder for me to validate, to self-validate, because I can't see. And my loved ones in my life understand that and are really supportive and like work hard to make sure that they are communicating to me what they are seeing honestly, which means telling me when they think I look amazing and beautiful and telling me when they think something isn't working for me. A color isn't suiting my skin tone. The foundation isn't blending correctly. And as hard as those things can be for me to hear in the moment, I now know, don't put that color on, throw out that foundation, it's not working. And in the long run, it makes me feel more confident. Because I know that I'm getting honest opinions and honest feedback the way that a sighted person would be giving themselves in the mirror. And B, they do that they support me through choosing their words carefully. So understanding that they need to be gentle in the ways that they communicate and in the words that they use, because it translates different to my ears that doesn't have the visual understanding, right? Because I don't have any visual memories. I don't have any visual connections. I'm not able to flip through magazines. I'm not able to look in store windows. I'm not looking at models. I'm not looking at other girls on the internet. I'm not looking at everybody else at the grocery store and taking visual intel of what things are and what things look like and being like, oh, that's what that word means. Visual words, for me, sometimes actually don't have the same meaning as they do to people who can see, because I don't have the visual context for those words. Again, I know some of this is going to be very difficult to understand, but I hope I'm communicating in an effective manner, and I hope that for those of you who are in a similar position, that this is able to put into words and to validate feelings that you might experience internally as well, because it is a really, in ways, isolating experience. And I think that for all of us, it is true that it is easier to feel confident when things are going right. And I can be honest and say that most things this year are not going right. And it's one of those like grin and bear it, push through, stay strong, keep optimistic, manifest, affirm. You know, I'm doing all the things to keep my mental health where it needs to be and to just stay strong and like manifest the good, not the bad, because all worry and stress does is manifest worry and stress and negativity. So in this difficult, challenging time, I am working on rising above it, right? And that's all I've done during all my difficult times. And it's all I can do is when we face challenge and adversity, we try to stay above it and push through, knowing that it's not gonna be like this forever. And the more positive you can stay through the adversity, the better you'll be at the end of it. And the quicker you'll get through it. So that's what I'm doing. But I think it's easier to feel insecure when you're feeling insecure and uncertain about life. You know, some things that have been making me feel more insecure are the fact that I've been struggling with adult acne for the past year. and like pretty significant adult acne. I talked about it in this video where I talked about doing an anti-aging adult acne skincare routine. And ultimately, my adult acne is, for the most part, hormonal, but not hormonal in the sense that I only break out when I'm PMSing. I am breaking out 24/7, every day of every month. It is a consistent, solid issue. It is not like, oh, well, I have 1 or 2 bad skin weeks and then 2 good ones with my cycle. I've also been dealing with PMDD, or premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which I talked about in this video. So of course, that's affecting my self-esteem when I have that hormonal dip. Ultimately, PMDD, hormonal acne, hormone imbalance, all of those things are interconnected and intertwined. So I'm doing a lot of things to try to combat those things every single day, which eventually, when I get to the other side of this journey, I will make a video to share what I've learned and what does and does not help, but we ain't there quite yet. Right? So I know that those things are ultimately impacting my self-esteem, and a bad haircut. I don't say bad haircut because it's my hairdresser's fault. It isn't. She did what I asked for. It was my mistake. We all do it, right? We're all like, I want change. You guys know me. I love a hair transformation. I love a hair change. And now that I'm just back to brown, the only way to really like have fun and change my hair up is through cuts, for changing the haircut. So I went for a bob, and the first time I loved it, because I still had the bangs that I loved, and it was a bit of a longer bob. The second time, we went full bob, like proper chin length, and grew out the bangs. Now, growing out the bangs, if you've ever had to do it, you know is hard. There's like a lot of growing pains, quite literally, in growing out the bangs. So there's like phases where they're sitting well and looking cute and doing their thing, and there's phases where they're just straight up awkward, and there's no way around it but pushing through. Because the second bob was shorter, it was the first bob I had where I couldn't even do the low pony or the low bun. Like there was no putting it in a clip, there was no putting it in an elastic, there was no nothing. The only way to get it back away from my face was to use a hairband. So I think that because I'm such a put it up girl, you guys know me, I love a top knot, I love a high pony, and at the very least, I want to be able to do something low to get it off my face. And I think the combination of dealing with adult acne, that was pretty significant, dealing with a haircut that really changed the way I had to work with my hair and challenged me styling wise, and dealing with PMDD, which ultimately is mental health, all kind of lowered my confidence. Knowing that I'm, turning 30 and feeling that pressure, that societal pressure, that industry pressure, when I read those little comments about my brows or about my lips, or when I hear other women discuss their insecurities about their tech neck or their crow's feet or what have you, I'm like, oh no. And it's harder for me to rise above those and like move forward. It's harder for me to rise above those and like move forward and not think about them, particularly because these other areas of my life aren't going like super swimmingly, so it's easy to like get in those negatives and those downs. And so for me, what I'm doing to combat this low self-esteem period that I'm in is doing things that make me feel good. So for me, it's, I'm growing out my hair, number one. I can finally kind of get it into a little something pulled back here. Got the bobby pin in, holding the growing out bangs. We're working on it. It's not fabulous, it's not great, but I'm working on it. Wearing lots of hats, getting cute hats to wear, getting cute hairbands, like just doing little things like that make me feel better. And I've learned my mistake, and I won't be doing a bob again, even though other people like it. And that's the thing, like the bob is actually a haircut that a lot of people are like, this is the best cut yet. This is my favorite haircut on you. But you know what? I don't like it on me. I'm growing it out. It means when I'm going to an event, or I'm just going out wearing like a skirt or something on a hot day, putting a bit of fake tan on, because it just makes me feel a little bit better. It just boosts my self-confidence. I got a higher coverage concealer for my acne, and that is helping me feel a little bit better. I bought a few new outfits that just make me feel confident and cute and good about myself. I'm working on getting up every single day, and most days, not putting on sweats or athleisure, but like putting on a real outfit, real clothes, even if I'm just hanging out at home, because it makes me feel better. And you guys know me, I'm the queen of comfort. So me saying I'm not putting on sweats and athleisure doesn't mean I'm not putting on comfy clothes. I'm putting on comfy clothes, but they're more like dressy going out clothes instead of comfy lay in bed in sweats clothes. Because wearing a cute outfit makes me feel more confident and makes me feel better about myself. Working on like eating really healthy and getting back into working out. I signed up for a new gym. I am getting back into my super clean diet, taking all my supplements every day, drinking enough water, like doing these things that fuel me internally. And when you feel like you are taking control of your life in that way, like you are doing things that are good for your body, that are good for your physical health, it is so good for your mental health, and in turn, so good for your confidence. So all of these little steps that I'm taking are making me feel better about myself, because I just was at this point where I was like, I just feel bad about myself. Like I'm so sick of feeling bad every day. And that was feeling bad about myself was translating into everything else I was doing. So doing these things to make me feel good about myself is really helpful. You know, I'm doing what I can to be good to myself during a time when I'm not feeling good. And that's all we can do. So that's where I'm at. And we all know that I'm a girlie who's always loved the visuals. I'm like a hyper visual blind person. It's a really weird world to live in, where I love all things aesthetic. I love a beautiful home. I love makeup, I love fashion, I love skincare, I love hair care, I love all things aesthetic. I love tattoos, I love jewelry, and I can't see any of them. And equally, I can't see myself to know how I'm looking or how I'm feeling. So all I can do is make these little changes and do these little things to uplift myself and feel good, and try to put the mean brain, the mean voice away, and affirm myself every single day and manifest that positivity. And I hope that in some way me sharing where I'm at in my journey and my experiences has helped at least one of you. It's a hard world out there, and we're all just doing our best to get through it. And I think that's why the live and let live is the best way to live, because we don't know what anybody else is going through. And I think we as a society have lacked a lot of compassion, a lot of humanity, and a lot of understanding that we are all living lives that nobody else can understand and nobody else is living. So if you see a girl on the internet and you think her lips are too thin, it is not in your place to say it. You can think that thought in your head and move about your day, because her lips, they do not impact you. It does not affect you. It is best, I've always lived a life where when I'm stuck in traffic and I'm running late, instead of getting upset and stressed, I try to say, thank God I'm not in the accident that caused this backup. Or when I meet somebody who is really grumpy and negative and mean, I think to myself, and I'm not perfect, right? Like I have my moments where it gets to me, but I try my best to live a life where instead of being defensive or grumpy with them for being grumpy, in my mind, I try to go, they must have had a really tough day. I'm so glad I haven't had the tough day that they're having. And I think that's just the best way to live with compassion and understanding that we're all just trying to get through. We're all just trying to survive. And you know what, girl? You're doing a great job at it. I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of me. Because we all know I've had many great years and I've had many hard years, and that's freaking life. That's what I've learned. Ebbs and flows, ups and downs, peaks and valleys. You just ride at the downs and you live for the ups. And I'm gonna get to a point where I'm feeling so confident in myself again, and I'm not necessarily there yet, but I'm getting there and I'm working on it. Because when you notice that there's something in your life that you don't like, you can either change it or accept it. And I'm working to do both. I am changing the ways in which I can change, and I am working on feeling good about the things that I can't. There's a helicopter, it is loud, and it is telling me to shut up because you've talked for long enough, Molly. Classic me. Okay, I'm done, that's it, goodbye, I'm leaving. If you would like to watch that anti-aging adult acne skincare routine and hear some of the things that I've been doing that have been helping, you can click there to watch that. Or if you would like to, what was the other video I mentioned? I don't know, I mentioned another video, Robin will remember. You can click here to watch that video, and I'll see you next time.